Let me tell you something that nobody in the personal finance industry will ever say out loud. The advice they give to people with low incomes is not designed to make those people wealthy. It is designed to make them comfortable with their ceiling, comfortable with their pace, comfortable with a version of progress that looks like movement but arrives nowhere near where they actually want to be. Budget your coffee, track your spending, put away a small amount every month, and in 40 years you might have enough to stop working if you are very careful and nothing goes wrong. That is not a strategy. That is a slow apology for the position you are already in. Machiavelli wrote for people with nothing, not for the already powerful, not for the already wealthy, for the man who was handed unfavorable conditions and had to figure out how to build something real from exactly where he stood. He was that man, stripped of everything. No title, no income, no network of powerful friends willing to help. Just a mind that understood how resources actually move in the real world, not in the comfortable version of it. And from that place, he mapped 10 strategies that I am going to give you in this video. 10 strategies that are not gentle, not comfortable, not designed to make you feel good about the pace you are at. They are designed to change the pace permanently. Before the 10 strategies, I need to say something honest about the starting point. A low income is not the main barrier to building wealth. I know that sounds wrong. Stay with me. The main barrier to building wealth from a low income is not the number on your paycheck. It is the thinking that the number on your paycheck produces, the scarcity mindset, the mental framework that says, I do not have enough to invest, I do not have enough to save meaningfully, I do not have enough options to do anything other than survive this month and hope next month is better. Machiavelli understood that the man who believed his circumstances were his permanent condition had already accepted a defeat that had not yet been imposed on him. He wrote that the man who adapts his methods to the nature of his times will succeed, and the man who does not will fail. Adapting to the nature of your times when those times include a low income does not mean accepting a low income forever. It means using the specific conditions you are in as the training ground for the disciplines that will build everything else. The person who learns to manage very little wisely is infinitely better positioned to manage a great deal wisely than the person who never had to think carefully because the margin was always comfortable. Low income is not a life sentence. It is a starting condition, and starting conditions are where strategies begin. Strategy 1. Stop renting your time. Start owning your output. This is the most fundamental shift in this entire video, and it is the one that will make the biggest difference not in the distant future, but at a speed that will surprise you. When you work for someone else, you trade your time for their money. Every hour you give them produces value that belongs to them. The product they sell, the system they build, the client relationship they own. And when pay arrives, they give you back a portion of the value you helped create and call it your salary. Machiavelli was precise about this dynamic. He understood that the man who works entirely within someone else's structure has placed a ceiling on his own potential that is defined not by his ability, but by the structure itself. The alternative, even while keeping your primary job, is to begin building something that you own. Something small, something parallel, something that produces value. That belongs to you and generates even slightly, whether or not you are actively working on it that day. A skill sold directly to clients, a piece of content that attracts attention, a product built once and sold repeatedly, a service delivered on your terms at your price to people you chose. The size of the start does not matter. What matters is the principle underneath it. You are building something yours, and something yours, no matter how small, has no ceiling built into it by anyone else's structure. Strategy 2. Become expensive before you feel ready. Most people with low incomes undercharge for what they offer, not because they lack skill, not because they lack value, because the scarcity mindset has convinced them that asking for more will cost them the little they have. Machiavelli understood that the prince who signals weakness through his terms invites everyone around him to take advantage of those terms. What you charge is a signal. A low price does not just mean less money. It means less credibility, less perceived value, less of the seriousness with which the person across from you takes what you are offering. The counterintuitive truth that Machiavelli's framework points toward is this: raising your price before you feel fully qualified to do so is not arrogance. It is the act of deciding what your work is worth, rather than waiting for someone else to make that decision for you. And someone else will always make it lower. Always. Charge what the value of your output deserves, not what your fear suggests is safe. Strategy 3. Treat every expense as an investment decision. This is not about cutting everything. It is about applying a single question to every financial decision you make. Does this spending move me toward the position I am building or away from it? Machiavelli observed that the prince who spent on what was visible rather than on what was effective was always moving toward weakness while appearing to move toward strength. Most people on low incomes spend on comfort and appearance, the thing that makes the difficult day easier, the thing that signals to others that things are better than they are, the subscription that entertains, the upgrade that feels like progress. None of those things are inherently wrong, but every one of them is money that did not compound, money that did not build a skill, did not create an asset, did not move the position forward. The Machiavellian approach is to spend on things that make you more capable, a course that adds a skill that the market will pay for, a book that changes the quality of your thinking, a tool that multiplies the speed or reach of your work. These are not costs. They are investments in the most important asset you have, yourself. Strategy 4. Build one skill to the level of rare. Machiavelli understood that the man who was indispensable could not be ignored. The man who was competent at many things but exceptional at nothing was replaceable. And replaceable people are paid replaceable rates. Most people on low incomes spread their learning thin, a little of this, a little of that, following whatever course or trend looks promising until the next one appears. The result is a broad surface of average capability that the market prices exactly as it is, average. The Machiavellian strategy is to identify the single skill that sits at the intersection of what you are genuinely capable of developing, what the market values highly, and what most people are not willing to put in the work to master, and then go all the way in. Not halfway, not far enough to feel competent, all the way to the point where you are one of the few, not one of the many. Rare commands a premium in every market, in every era, under every economic condition. The skill that no one else around you has is the asset that no recession can fully touch. Strategy 5. Use time differently than everyone else. This is the one that requires the most honesty, because time is the one resource that is completely equal between the person with very little and the person with a great deal. The difference between them is not how much time they have, it is what they do with the time that exists outside of their obligations. Machiavelli understood that the prince who used calm periods to build the infrastructure for difficult ones was always more prepared than the one who did not. Most people on low incomes use their non-working hours to recover from their working ones, and that is understandable, and it is also the reason nothing changes. The Machiavellian approach is not to grind every waking hour without rest. It is to identify the specific hours in every week where the choice of what to do with them actually belongs to you, and to use a meaningful portion of those hours on building rather than exclusively on consuming. An hour spent developing the rare skill, an hour spent creating something that attracts attention, an hour spent learning something that compounds in value, multiplied across weeks and months and then years, is not a small thing. It is the engine, and almost nobody is running it. Strategy 6. Position yourself near money before you have it. Machiavelli observed that the men who rose fastest were rarely the most talented in absolute terms. They were the ones who understood proximity, the deliberate placement of themselves in the environments, the conversations, the relationships where money was already moving, and where being present and valuable created opportunities that could not have been found elsewhere. Most people with low incomes spend their time in circles where the average financial reality matches their own. Not because they are wrong people, because it is comfortable and natural and human to spend time with people who reflect what you already know. But proximity shapes possibility. The conversations you are in determine the ideas you are exposed to. The people you know determine the opportunities that find you. The environments you inhabit determine the standard of what feels normal and therefore achievable. Find the rooms, the events, the communities, the online spaces where people are operating at the level you are building toward. Contribute value there before you have status there. Be useful before you are recognized. Show up consistently in the places where the game you want to play is actually being played. Proximity is not luck, it is a decision. Strategy 7. Eliminate the expenses that signal wealth without building it. This is the brutal one, because it requires you to be honest about the gap between the life you are projecting and the position you are actually building. Machiavelli wrote that the prince who spent to impress was always spending in the wrong direction. Impressiveness is a signal. Wealth is a structure, and the signal without the structure beneath it costs you both the money and the credibility that the money was supposed to buy. The car that is beyond your actual position. The clothes that communicate an income you do not yet have. The social spending, the nights out, the rounds, bought the image maintained at a cost that quietly ensures nothing beneath it ever gets built. This is not a morality judgment, it is a math problem. Every dollar spent on signal is a dollar not compounding. Every month spent performing success is a month not building it. The Machiavellian man on a low income lives deliberately below his visible means, while investing aggressively above his visible ambitions. He is building in private. He is not performing publicly, and the day arrives when the building makes the performing unnecessary. Strategy 8. Build a network that operates above your income level. Machiavelli was precise about alliances. He understood that the quality of the people around you was a more accurate predictor of your future than almost any other variable. The person who connects you to the opportunity, the person whose thinking raises the quality of your own, the person who has already solved the problem you are about to spend years on and who can show you the shortcut in a single conversation. These people do not appear automatically. They appear when you deliberately build the kind of presence that makes a relationship with you worth having for them, not by what you take, by what you bring. The person on a low income who shows up in the right room with a genuine skill, a specific insight, a consistent willingness to contribute before asking for anything is far more interesting to the right person than the person who simply arrives needing help. Give value first. Give it consistently. Give it without keeping score. And the network that builds around that approach will open doors that no amount of money or title could have opened faster. Strategy 9. Protect your most valuable asset fiercely. Not your money, not your time, though both matter, your energy. Machiavelli understood that the prince who diffused his resources across too many fronts was always weaker than the one who concentrated them on the single most important objective. For the person building wealth from a low income, energy is the resource that everything else depends on. The mental clarity to make the right decisions, the focus required to develop the rare skill, the discipline to show up consistently on the building work even when the exhaustion of the daily work is real. Most people in this position leak energy constantly, into relationships that drain without returning, into arguments that resolve nothing, into content designed to stimulate without educating, into worry about things they cannot currently change. Every one of those leaks is a withdrawal from the account that funds everything you are trying to build. Protect the energy with the same seriousness you would protect a critical investment. Guard your sleep, guard your attention, guard the quality of what you allow into your mind. Guard your emotional space from the people and situations that consume it without contributing to it. The person who manages their energy wisely on a low income builds faster than the person on twice the income who leaks it in every direction. Strategy 10. Play the long game with short-term discipline. Machiavelli understood that the greatest source of ruin for men of every income level was not bad luck, it was impatience. The decision made from the pressure of the immediate rather than the clarity of the eventual. The investment liquidated when it dipped because the short-term pain outweighed the long-term position. The plan abandoned because it had not yet produced the result that only consistency over time can deliver. Building wealth on a low income is a long game. There is no version of this where the shortcuts are real and the overnight successes are what they appear to be. What there is the compound effect of small, correct decisions made consistently across a long enough period that the mathematics become undeniable. Small, correct decisions made consistently do not feel like anything while they are happening, and it looks like everything when you look back from far enough away. The short-term discipline
is the thing that makes the long game possible. Every time you choose the building decision over the comfort decision, you are not just making a financial choice, you are building the identity of a person who makes building decisions. And identity, once established, is the most durable foundation any wealth has ever been built on. 10 strategies. Let me show you the thread that runs through all of them. Every single one is built on the same foundational principle that Machiavelli returned to across every page of everything he ever wrote. The person who sees clearly what is actually possible rather than what they have been told is possible, and who acts on that vision with discipline, consistency, and the patience to outlast everyone who gave up before the result appeared, wins. Not dramatically, not overnight, but inevitably. A low income is not a permanent wall. It is a starting gate, and the person who leaves that gate using these 10 strategies rather than waiting for the conditions to improve before they begin is the person who arrives at a destination that the comfortable people never managed to reach. Machiavelli was exiled. He had nothing. And from that nothing, he built something that has outlasted everyone who tried to diminish him by half a millennium. He did not wait for better conditions. He did not wait for someone to give him back the resources that had been taken. He did not accept that the starting position he was in was the ending position he was limited to. He picked up the pen, and in doing so, he demonstrated every one of the 10 strategies in this video through the single act of deciding that where he was not where he had to stay. That decision is available to you. Not a smaller version, not someday, not when the income improves or the circumstances shift or someone opens a door that has your name on it. Now, from exactly the position you are in, with exactly the resources you currently have, because the resource that matters most has never been the money. It has always been the decision to begin and the discipline to continue. If this video showed you something you have not been shown before, then do 3 things. First, pick one of the 10 strategies and begin applying it without waiting for the perfect moment. Not all 10 at once.
1. The one that your gut already knows is the most important place to begin. Second, hit the like button. Not for me, because there is someone else out there sitting in the same starting position you are in who needs to know that the starting position is not the ending one. Help them find this video. And third, subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because this channel exists for the person who refuses to accept a ceiling that someone else built and put above their head without their permission. The person who turns on the bell, who shows up before the crowd, who does not wait to be served what everyone else is already watching, has already demonstrated strategy 5. They are using their time differently than everyone else. That is where everything begins.